So just elaborating on getting in the zone. The video I'm going to show you now is a free kick. So getting in the zone for a free kick. Obviously, we get in the zone for various technique. It could be a penalty, it could be a free kick, it could be going into a game. So the video will focus on is getting in the zone for a free kick. So we can sort of watch this. Getting in the zone. And if you watch the player, he puts the ball down for the free kick. Okay, he's obviously doing his laces there. You'll see him tap his foot there. As he taps his foot, that's almost like a cue to get in the zone. So he gets himself in the zone. And he's completely focused on the skill, on the execution of the skill. Strike, bang, ball's in the back of the net. Okay, so I have a stable of players, as you're aware. I've been doing this for a long time. This is me many, many years ago when I had much shorter hair. So this is, I take my players, for example, I take them, we sort of practice in. So we aim for a place on the crossbar, for example, a place in the goal line. We decide on anchor. Generally speaking, guys, for a free kick, it's like a tap on the floor. So that's the cue. We associate the right state, the right time. And that's the sort of point being is that, you know, that was obviously a crossbar. But some of the key points we're going to go through tonight in the seminar, but just to sort of recap that again. So you'll see a play. This is a lot of bake up. I'm helping bake up again, by the way. So we want to challenge a couple at a time. He's a good lad, tremendous player, to be fair, fantastic player. So this sort of shows you again. So he taps the foot, that's this sort of cue. Getting in the zone. Okay, now all that matters really is focusing on the execution of the skill. And bang, there you have it. Yeah, so the key points, just to reiterate that. Okay, the tapping of the foot is the cue. We'll see shortly. Taps the foot, that's a cue, getting in the zone. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now, all that matters is the skill, the execution of the skill, not the pressures of a cup final, not, you know, expectations outside, purely the skill. Bang. Okay. So what I want you to do now is, if you could do, is take a moment to think. So tonight we're going to focus on the part of the book, chapter 10 in this book. And we're going to focus on what we've just seen there, getting into the zone and deal with an anchor. We've seen the video. Concentration is the ability to think of absolutely nothing when it's absolutely necessary. What you've got to focus on, guys, at the right time. That's the key to big match performers have got the ability to focus on the task in hand. That's what it's all about. For, you know, as a top performer, what's going to get you far is your ability to focus at the right time. And that's what we're going to focus on tonight. Competition can bring the best out of athletes and the worst. We've seen it. You know that you guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen plenty of performances out there where you see the best of people. The psychological demands are high when two individuals strive for the same goal. So we're two individuals, we've both got the same ability, tactical ability, technical ability, and it's all about who's in the right state. Who's left their game head on at the hotel, who's left their game head on at the changing room, at home, who's still concerned about things they can't control. They're the sort of key factors that are important. You know, it's about being in your game head. So being in the zone when physically things are equally matched, then one competitor who can control his or her mind during a sporting event will win at any given time. Okay, the one who can control. And many athletes assume that mental aspects of performance are innate. You can't change them. Some of them you can't change them. When in reality, systematic mental training can have a big effect on performance, almost as big as a physical workout. You work out physically, you feel it. You don't feel it as much mentally. Maybe you feel a bit tired if you work out mentally, but it's equally as big. So the mental aspects of performance should involve focusing what you're doing in the event. Whether it's top flight sports, you do an exam, an essay, a job interview. For me, it's all relevant to what you're doing. Meet someone new, you feel nervous. You might, like example, Tony spoke to the lads who were going abroad. You meet a new manager, you meet new people, you feel nervous. You've got to be in the right state of mind, because people make a judgment pretty much straight away when they see you. You go in there, guys, confident, shoulders back, firm handshake, and own it. That's the key when you meet someone in that situation. So many athletes have routines to get in the right state of mind at the right time. You see golfers do it. Tennis players might bounce the ball a couple of times before serve. Rugby players, I'm sure you've seen it before. They sort of clench their hands or they visualize the ball going over. And I showed you footballers, for example, who will use their own cues. And that could be the difference, you being in the zone. If you're in the zone for 20 free kicks in a year, say you take 20 free kicks in 1 year, you're in the zone. For all of those free kicks, you're going to have a high conversion ratio, for sure. The key to the routine, it provides the athlete with control, directs attention to important cues. Coach and athlete should be working together to decide attention cues and sequence which they occur. So for you, speak to Tony and say, okay, what's appropriate? Do I get a tap of the foot? Do I flick the wristband? For me, what do I do in terms of developing a cue which we're going to cover later on? Or you can speak to me or the coaches. There are many potential distractions in sport, just as there is the game of life. Sometimes friends, family, coaches, teammates, environmental conditions, memories, delays, all these things can distract us. That's part of life. As an athlete, you're going to grow and you're going to see sometimes, okay, things happen in life. You do an exam, things happen. The ability to focus at the right time. You're on your way to school, college, do an exam, and you get some news comes in, and you think, oh no. And you get nervous about the exam. You want to get into university and you don't pass the exam, or it's your first year uni, you're concerned, or sporting event, you've got this big trial coming up. The key thing is focus at the right time. Okay? You have to always be focused. You chill out sometimes and relax. And I use this strategy in business a lot as well, people presentations and stuff like that. Sports people, they want to be motivated to do the training sometimes. The confidence at the right time. It's an NLP-based technique which can be used to get anyone in the right state of mind. So regardless of who you are, what you do, I mentioned before, there are times you're going to have distractions. Absolutely. The referee gives you a bad decision. You get a bad tackle. Something doesn't go your way. Or you have to retake a penalty. You think, here we go. You need to be in the right state of mind to deal with situations. You can change the state of mind and mood pretty quickly with an anchoring technique. You stay calm during an interview. You relax during an exam. You're confident you've got to do a presentation. So you have a long day at school or college, or you get up in the morning and stay motivated. Remember what you're doing it for when you get up in the morning to do the training. And sometimes you think, could just, I'm not saying you guys do. Some people do. I'll just, could stay in bed. But the key thing is you're the one who gets up and you get in that state of mind. An anchor is a stimulus that creates a response in either you or another person. When an individual is at peak of an experience, such as a peak intensity emotional state, if you apply a specific stimulus, it builds a neurological link between the emotional stimulus. So in layman's terms, in layperson's terms, without all this sort of technical jargon, it's like you tap your foot, and when you tap your foot, as you're tapping your foot, you imagine the state you want to be in to take the free kick. That's the key here, guys, putting it in playing, easy to understand. So it happens naturally. or can be set up intentionally, and can assist in gaining access to a past state and linking the past state to present and future. Anchoring can be used in sports, business, and personal development. It can be used to create a resourceful state of mind for specific situations. So I think now for a time, guys, think of times where you've been in the zone, where you've performed really, really, really great. Think of times you've taken a great free kick, you put a great tackle in, you're just on it. You're on it, you're on your game, you're in flow. Think about what you see, hear, and feel. So, you take the free kick and bang, you burst the back of the net. Take the penalty and you focus. You just know you're going to score. But you've got someone running at you full pace and you sort of focus and you put the tackle in. Your timing's perfect. You get the ball and you're in that resourceful state. You get into the game and you're just on it. It's it. I'm on it. We're going to get a result in this game. And think about times in the future where you might need to be in that state. It could be you're a striker and you're a free kick taker and you think, I want to score more free kicks. Penalties. Could be you're a defender and you want to sort of get your timing, your tackles going. It could be even like I mentioned earlier, your exams. You want to be in the right state at the right time. So for example, I've used this technique for many, many times. For many years I've been in the game and consulting in teams. And so an example, one time I introduced this technique one time. I'll sort of share this. I remember one time was actually Tony Strodwick, the sports science at he's at Man United now, pretty sure still there. Anyway, he asked me to bring some of these techniques to Blackburn Rovers, and they were struggling. I think they were close to the bottom. And I think Mark Hughes was the manager at the time. And we spoke about anchoring being a key fundamental here for the free kick, the set piece takers. That was the key fundamental. I went on that season to finish, I think 6th or 7th in the end, like semi-final FA Cup, I think. But I don't put that down to me. I'm just saying that obviously, they're key things. So obviously teams I've worked with over the years, players I've worked with, not just in football, in sports in general, we've done this process. So sort of, to give you an example, what can be considered as an anchor. So you look through old family photos and you have a feeling, or you look through old footballing albums and they bring back a feeling, guys. When you hear a song and it brings back a memory, or you walk past, the bakery and smell apple pies or coffee, or, the smell of sunscreen reminds you of being on the beach and reminiscing with friends, or driving past, school, or a compliment sometimes, or, you wear a certain type of clothing and feel. So these are sort of examples of sort of anchors that we have automatically anyway. It's a conditioned response, how we're anchored. When you or another person experiences strong emotion, so when you feel a really strong emotion, an intense emotion, whatever you are doing or saying becomes associated with the emotion. And you see advertisers do a lot. Advertisers do a lot with like fragrance, because fragrance is the limbic system. Smell, is the sense that goes straight to the limbic. But the point being here is that on an unconscious level, say you get some sad news and someone taps you on the back, then obviously it's going to develop an association. We get some good news the same. So the key is for us to do this consciously. Someone calls your name in a certain way, triggers emotional response. So whenever you do or say something in the same way or another person's presence, you'll re-stimulate a portion of the previous feeling. So from an NLP perspective, being aware of this phenomenon through the knowledge of NLP enables you to be aware of kinds of responses you're anchoring and others you were doing and how you were doing it. So you can do it consciously. But equally in saying that, what you can do is, if you've got negative associations about certain players you've played against and you feel nervous about playing against certain grounds, like with players who get nervous when they go to certain grounds, you can sort of collapse that feeling too. But that's another story for another day. For now, we're focusing on what sort of responses are being anchored in yourself and how it's done. This awareness enables you to anchor for productive outcomes. So you want to be in control. I've mentioned before, I've done team huddles as well. That's an anchor. You've seen that before. the team goes into a huddle or group anchor before the game to be in the right state. Once they won the game, when I was working team one time, and we had to win nearly every game, a lot of games, because when I sort of got the job, the team was bottom of the league practically. Another team I was working with in League Two, they were practically in relegation battle and bottom of the league. And after the game, we'd say, do the huddle. And the huddle was when we had a win to recreate the feeling. So what you do when you win a game, you do a team huddle, and you then before the game, you do it as well, because you automatically have that feeling of what it's like to win. But I also do the huddle when they did training. So why would you do after training, Jim, the huddle? Because I'd sort of make the players realize that how hard you've trained. So it makes you harder to beat. And I want you to remember that, guys. When you go on the pitch, if you end up in a situation like the guys who are going across to Spain at the moment, and, you know, you feel a bit, you know, you watch the technical ability of those players and do I belong? Then remember how hard you've trained to get there. That's the key. Remember how many hours you put in. Remember getting up at 5 in the morning and putting the hard yards in. That makes you harder to beat. Okay, at times in the second half, I don't have to say much to the players if we're getting beat. I'll just refer to them and say, you know what, guys, you know, we're better than this. Let's go out and give a good account of ourselves. We've trained you hard. So I'm going to teach you the technique, step one, and this is the kinesthetic anchor. Obviously, you can do a visual one, auditory one, music before the game. You got tunes you like to listen to, a specific tune before the game. Like you see the players have got their tunes on, getting in the zone. There's some players, if before the game, man, there's no getting through to them. They're just so focused in the warm-up. They're not bothered about what's going on TV. They're not bothered about whatever. They're just so on it. You see them in the warm-up, and they're generally the ones who go out and perform. You could have like an anchor, maybe, you know, you might have a certain, wristband you like to wear. Or I'm going to teach you, guide you through it. Then you got the video that you can watch as well as this and go back over it. There's a couple of videos that I'll send through as well. So I'll just jot that down. So a couple of videos I'll send through as well that'll teach it. But you go through this as well. So you see me doing it with somebody else as well as you can sort of work on it then with your colleague or on your own. You got time. So I'll send Tone a couple of videos you can use and sort of, you know, work your way through it. Or you can have this presentation, link back to that video, or drop me an email and I'll send you some videos and you work on it, guys. But let me explain the principle and what you do for now, and then you reflect on it. So you decide the event you wish to anchor and the state. So that could be a game. It could be a free kick in a game, penalty. It could be an exam, and decide on the state of mind you want to be in. So it could be confident, taking a free kick, motivated, in the zone. So that's step one. And you can write that down. If there's an event coming up, an exam, a big game for you, or a specific situation in the game, and the state you want to be in. So I'll guide you through in steps, guys. And then once you're really focused and decide on the state you want to anchor, calm, relaxed, confident, motivated, whatever sort of word comes to mind to you, then what you do is you choose the anchor. Now you saw that player earlier, he taps his foot before the free kick. It could be like, you know, I've got wristbands. Okay, sometimes when I do like big radio interview, if I go for a big meeting or a big game myself with an athlete and I want to be in the zone myself, then I've got wristbands. I just, you know, associate that. That's useful for me to be in the zone, on it 100% in the zone. So you decide, if I'm thinking together, it doesn't really matter what you decide to do. You can decide afterwards what's right for you going forward. Then you recall the memory. So I mentioned all about the memory of a situation you experienced that state. Ideally, the same situation you're going into. So it's a game, a free kick you've taken in the past, and you fully associate that memory. So if you're comfortable enough to close your eyes, you can now, and fully relive a memory. Fully relive the memory. So if you're comfortable to close your eyes, and just as you close your eyes, just you notice your breathing becoming calmer, and your heartbeat might start to slow down, your breathing slows down. And as you do that, you start reflecting on the memory where you're in the zone. As you reflect in that memory, perhaps you see it like watching a TV screen. You see yourself, notice the colors, the sounds, the feelings the image projects of you being in that zone before a big game, before a free kick, for a penalty, for an exam. You're in the zone. And when you've got the memory and you can see it, you can step in the memory like the here and now, and imagine that feeling where you're calm, super confident. And what you do is you relive the memory like it's a here and now, fully engage in the memory. And when it's at a peak intensity, say on a scale of 9 to 10, with 10 being high, then you can press your anchor. You either hold your wristband, press your thumb and finger together, or tap your foot on the floor, and you hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, and the two should neurologically link together. And then you release the anchor as it begins to fade. So we'll do that again, guys, just, for educational purposes. That's the sort of the key aspects. Now you know what we're doing. And then we'll sort of move forward. So once again, we can just choose your anchor. We tap in the foot, thumb finger together, holding that. Now we're going to recall the memory again. So you can recall a memory or a situation, ideally that's similar to the one that you want to be in that state again. If you can't find one similar, think of something you do really, really well, or in a similar state you want to be in. And as you do that, it's probably easy to close your eyes and block out the outside world and just focus like a laser beam. And as you focus like a laser beam, just empty all your thoughts in the bag and put them outside the door for now. You can pick them up in 2 minutes if you wish. For now, you're on it. You're focusing on the time. You're confident. You were calm. You were collected. Perhaps you picked up the ball for a free kick, and this is going the back of the net. Penalty. Or you're on it in a game. I'm going to win this game. I'm going to boss this game. Okay, and as you do that, fully see, like on a screen, and you can walk in the screen if that works for you. If you imagine being and see, hear, and feel, and at peak intensity, when it's vivid, you can really feel it. Then you can do the anchor, the cue, thumb, finger, wristband, tap of the foot, entirely up to you. And hold 3 to 5 seconds. And just come back to the here and now in your own time, in your own pace. Okay, so that gives you the sort of the gist of it. You can go back over the video, guys, and I've got other videos if you need that break those steps down. You practice it. The more you put in, the better. But it doesn't take a long time for the two to connect. And you'll probably find now you get some sort of connection. You'll probably find now. So you probably find now that you start to get a connection, because if the emotion is intense, just like if you go to a ground where you've experienced a positive result, it's a good feeling. If you go to a ground where you had a negative result, it's a negative feeling. So it doesn't take a long time to connect. And you repeat the steps several times, making it really, really vivid. The idea is to sort of repeat. The step is not required. So when the anchor was established at the high point of the real experience, it was completely virtual. You can strengthen the anchor by establishing it at the high point of several remembered experiences. So you can think of several experiences that works for you. Also, guys, if, for example, you do something really good and someone sort of, when it naturally occurs, say you ping in a free kick, say like after that pings in the free kick, if he sort of taps his foot again there, then you build a link. If, for example, the coach does a great job, or for example, your target is to get 2.8 seconds in 20 meters, and you do it, 2.75, and you smashed it on the free, and you feel great. Or if you do the 12-minute run, you get 3,200 meters, and you've broken some new ground, and you think, you smashed the bleep test. Then do your anchor. It's useful then. You have a great game, because it builds confidence, breeds confidence. And then you sort of imagine in the future when you use your anchor. That's quite useful too. So you sort of imagine in the future, that could be an exam, it could be a future game, and you do what we did on the earlier technique, the earlier sessions, visualization. And you imagine at the point, okay, here you go, here's the ball, free kick. You know, you might have missed a couple of free kicks, but then you've got another chance. You step up and bang, you take it. So the keys for anchoring, these are the key points. The intensity of the experience. An anchor should be applied when you're fully associated to the intense state. The more intense the experience, the better the anchor will connect. So the more intense the experience, the feeling, the timing. When you reach the beginning of the state, start to apply the anchor. When you reach the peak, say on the scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being high, then at 10 you start to release. So for about 5 to 15 seconds. So if you want to anchor confidence, the time you felt confident, apply the anchor as soon as the feeling of confidence, and release it just as you reach the peak. That's the sort of key to it. So your foot on the floor for 10, 15 seconds when you feel it. So if you go out today, training pitch, you sort of tap foot on the floor, have the feeling of what it's like to score the goal, confident, and keep your foot there, 10, 15, and start releasing as it fades away. The more you reinforce it, the stronger it gets. So every time you get praise, recognition, then reinforce the feeling. Repeat. The more you repeat the stimulus, the more powerful it becomes. If you keep adding or stacking anchors, it becomes even more powerful. You have a more powerful technique to help you get the best out of yourself. Another way we can get in the right zone, guys, is an NLP physiological strategy. So, you know, you come across these people who sort of trudge around and head down in the game and hands on their knees, and all the purpose in the game that works with purpose and sense of direction. We've all seen that. So one of the points I stress with my athletes, sports people and footballers, is to adopt a more confident during a game posture. So it could be in the tunnel. So when you're standing in the tunnel, you're ready to go out, you got your back straight, head up, and you really mean purpose. You're really intense. I tell my players, for example, during the game, not to put their hands on their knees if they're sort of struggling, and sort of breathe down, open their airways, because one, also, it sort of physiologically changes their state. Two, it sends a message opposition to that we're tired. An example, one time, it was an FA Cup game. I was working with one team, playing an FA Cup match, and it was half time. We absolutely smashed this team from the first minute right to the 45th minute, playing off the park. 1-0, we're winning. We should have been 7 or 8. And you know what it's like. You've been there before, guys. You've played a team off the park. You don't take your chances. Bang, they score 1-0, half time. And we go into the dressing room. It's like, you can see the deflation in terms of it's going to be one of them days. And immediately I says to the physio, the manager, when we walk out of the dressing room with our shoulders back and with intent. We go out there more of the same, more of the same. And I remember one time I saw a player from the opposition. I was doing some work as a independent trainer. And I was talking to one of the guys I bumped into in the gym from the other team a few years later. And he says to me, what freaked them out was that when they saw us at half time, we looked like we weren't even broken sweat. And he goes, man, that freaked us out because we thought these guys aren't even tired. And we second half, we won the game 2-1. But the point I'm trying to make here is that, basically send a message to them that, okay, yeah, you got back in the game, fine. But we're not going to let it up. We're not going to let this get to us, okay, which is sort of key. By changing the way you move your body has an effect on your mind. And I use the experiment. You have to do the experiment. You can have a go at it later, but, silly experiment. You try to feel down as you jump up and down. You try to feel confident in your slump position. And it's just, the point here is basically to illustrate how the mind and body, the biochemistry, you can tell if someone's down. And sometimes we can use our body, not always, but sometimes we use your body to affect your biochemistry. And these are ways we can transfer it to sport. And it's quick. You know, it's quick, and you can practice technique. It just sounds like a silly technique. You're probably thinking, oh goodness me, this is a silly technique, but it's quite useful to do. You know, look at the top players in the world, the way they walk, they talk, and the way they are. You know, you sort of just practice standing upright, your shoulders back, your head high, and just practicing for 1 minute. You know, even sort of in the mirror, and just thinking, okay, practicing walking like you'd walk on the pitch or run on the pitch with confidence and power. That's really important. And you'll see, guys, when you do this, you get a chance to do it later, even after a minute, you start feeling so much stronger. And over a period of time, it becomes, part of your DNA. You start to feel, you're on it, guys. And that's the key. I wanted to practice, physiology, and I wanted to focus on how you can do this in the game. In a game, when you walk through the tunnel, when you're standing there, ready to sort of go out there, when you're playing and you go for a run and you track someone back and you might feel a bit, you get the lactic in your legs and you want to sort of crouch down. But the worst thing you can do is crouch down if you get the lactic, because then you get, the legs seize up. So you want to keep walking to make sure it goes out of the legs. So these are things to think about. And also the message you send to the other player, guys. The message you are sending to the other players when you're in a situation, for example, when you are a bit tired and you've gone on a 50-meter track, and if you're sort of putting your hands on your knees, one, you're closing your airways, and two, you're telling them, actually, you know what, I'm sort of feeling a bit, tired. And then that's enough for them. It's like sharks. When the sharks smell blood, guys, they're on it. They're relentless. They're not going to let go. And that's what I want you to think about. If you give any indication to the opposition, if there's any opening to the opposition, if they think there's a chance they can get through, then they're going to take it. I can guarantee you now, if they see any sort of weakness in you, they're not going to do you no favors on the football pitch, or any sporting contest, I'm afraid. Sport is tough at the highest level, at any level. But the highest level, the higher you go, they'll sense it. And if you do nothing else, it's really important that you're in the right state at the right time. It's not always easy. Things happen in the game. You get a bad refereeing decision. You might be slightly off form, or you're coming back from injury. But this is the key fundamental, guys. It really is. And you want to practice being in the right state. So you get two people, same ability, the one who's able to get and regulate their mind is the key. So this is just backtrack again, and we're going to sort of backtrack. Okay. So once again, to reiterate, for example, if you're taking a free kick, key fundamental is, okay, you take a free kick, what you need to focus on is the skill. It doesn't matter how good you are skillfully, if you don't do it at the right time, if you're not regulating your mind, it's going to have a big impact. So in the case of a free kick, you got the free kick, you put everything out of your mind, you empty it like in a bag, you don't even notice the crowd, you don't notice anything, you've got it. You go into that state of flow, or being in the zone, confidence, whatever works for you, calm, you're on it, okay? And you do an anchor, whatever that is, if it's tapping your foot or a wristband, and that is your cue. When you do that, all that matters is you doing the skill. That goes the same for a penalty or in the game. So, you put out your mind, everything. You're purely focused and concentrated on the task in hand, and you practice that, whether that's a tap in the foot for you, or you've seen rugby players do the hands, or whatever they use, and, wrist, whatever works for you. Once you do that, now is time. You're completely focused on what you're doing. And bang. And after you've done that too, by the way, what you want to do is maybe when you get the feeling, the buzz, when you get the feeling, that sort of buzz of achieving what you want to achieve, then you anchor it again. If you choose to do so, you can sort of do an anchor again if you want to. So just to sort of to recreate that sort of buzz, guys. That's the sort of key. Don't just sort of let it happen organically as well. Let it happen organically. That's useful to do that when the actual moment is happening. Make sure that you anchor it as well. That's a really key fundamental. So what I'd like you to do sort of going forward is sort of, I'm going to have a practice of that today on the training ground if it's applicable to you. As a free kick taker, penalty taker, you're sort of going to work on that, develop that. Do email me if you've got any sort of questions, comments. Otherwise, I'll give you some supporting material to work on that. Also in the book, you'll find step-by-step instructions of what to do. And in the course material that you've got, if you don't have it, email me, send it back through to you. So you know step-by-step. And that's really important. So you get on the front foot, guys. Start as you mean they're gone. Start of the week. Make every training session count. Every training session matters. So what I want you to do now is sort of focus on the training session coming up. Focus on your key objectives. We start with our key objectives, what you want to improve. So I want you to write down what you want to improve this week, what areas you want to improve, left foot, right foot, passing the ball, long pass, short pass, your speed. Set some targets, guys, for this week. You're sprinting, 20-meter sprint. Maybe you want to, if you haven't, broken 3-second barrier, that could be a target for you. Whatever fitness test the coach has got for you lined up, what I want you to do is see if you can incrementally get there. Make it count, go into every training session, what's your goal for the session? That's really important. What do you want to achieve this morning session when you get out there? And beyond this morning session, what do you want to achieve as well? So make it sort of count as well, and sort of take some time, guys, to visualize as well your training as well, and visualize what you do really, really well. Mentally rehearse what you do well. So I'm going to take you through a brief exercise now, guys, to sort of embed that sort of confidence in a really, really brief exercise. What I want you to do is to think about your greatest hits. Write down or make a mental note of your best performances, 3 or 4 or 5 best performances. I want you to reflect on these best performances, almost like doing a video or whatever they use these days, MP3, whatever you use these days. I want you to imagine uploading your greatest hits so you can see it like on TV, on a screen. Think of your greatest games, your greatest performances. And maybe one will stand out more than the others. And as you start to think about these greatest performances, guys, you can see them on the screen. It's like a show reel. You watch them over and over again. You build these neural pathways. What did you do well in this great performance? What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? What did you learn? Things that you learned from performing to the best of your ability. Just making sure, guys, that you sort of really focus on that and think about that and reflect on some of your best performances. And if it's okay to do so and you're comfortable to do so, what's useful to do is you sort of close your eyes and just sit back. And before you go into a game, guys, what I want you to do before you go to a game is take a minute before every game, a minute or half a minute, just to sort of close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, and own your own space. Put your favorite tune on, be your physical anchor, but just take time to be in the zone. And before you get in the game, I want to sort of practice thinking about your greatest performances and just reflect on them and believe in yourself. And that's what you see, hear, and feel. And before you get up to the game, you sort of connect to these greatest hits. And think about how you can take that, guys, into that game. You know, transfer those feelings, transfer those thoughts into a game. If any negativity comes into your mind, like, I can't beat that team, or we don't deserve to play at that level, just don't resist it, let it flow away and get your mind back on it. So you practice putting your game head on. As you warm up, guys, when you go for the warm up, you know, you might have a conversation with your colleagues, your friends, your teammates, it's okay. But use that warm up to go into that sort of state, okay? And start to reflect on your own performance at that point. What you need to do, your role, you're clear. If you're not clear on your role in the team, then go see the manager. Let me just clarify to the manager, is what you say. You go up to the coach. You know, don't feel that by saying it, they're going to sort of, you know, judge and think that this, you know, doesn't know. You just get clarity. Okay, let me just, you know, you say to the manager, let me just identify, is it that man or that player you want me to pick up? Be clear when you're defending, on free kicks, the role, am I man marking anybody? These are the things that you want to sort of make sure you clarify before the game as well. And if you feel you're going to a big game, guys, and you're going to go into games that are big, I'm sure with the talent in this dressing room, there's going to be games that you're going to go into that are going to have meaningful games. And if you feel a bit nervous before the game, if you need to chat to anybody, then you know, you've got the likes of Tony and the coaches are fantastic. If you're obviously playing for a different team, you coach and staff, whatever, but you want them sort of people who just prefers to be on their own, take time and think, okay? Just regulate your breathing too is useful as well. So you breathe a bit deeper through your tummy, a bit deeper, exhale a bit longer than your inhale. What I do with my athletes sometimes, we exhale 5, we inhale 5, and exhale 7. And that helps to calm the nerves, exhaling slightly when they inhale, and just doing 5-10 breaths, and, you know, closing the eyes, getting, so these are sort of things, tips you can take, as well as we've covered today, which is sort of key. So it's been a great session, guys, this morning. You know, you can go over it again. If you need any help with any of it, then do let me know. I'm always there, you know, for if you need to get in touch. I know we've covered, by the way, and so is obviously the coaching staff. So great session, guys. Get on that front foot, make it count, and believe in yourself, guys, and give it a good go. Give it everything. You leave nothing in the tank. Give it all you've got, guys. Okay, great stuff.